Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be filming a plant tour. I have quite a few houseplants. If you guys saw my house tour, you would have seen that. Today I'm going to go through and do a little bit more in-depth talking about some of them. And yeah, I just thought it would be fun. If anybody has recently gotten into a plant addiction like me, I actually went back and watched episode 2 of my Lunar podcast last night. And that was whenever I started really getting into houseplant, which was 3, almost 4 years ago now. So since I've gotten my home, it's definitely become an obsession, and I'm not upset about it by any means. So if you guys are interested in houseplants and you want to see what kind that I keep in my home and how they're doing in their spots, just keep watching. So the first 2 houseplants that I am going to show you are these 2. This is a Hoya pubicalix. I can't say half these names, so bear with me. But this is a really splashy Hoya. I absolutely love this one. It is currently just sitting here. I will move it sometime in the summer so it can have better light, but it is doing just fine right here. I brought it home not that long ago. This is definitely one of my newer houseplants, and I was kind of quarantining it away from the other ones, but I definitely think it's good to go now. I just haven't found the perfect place for it, but I love the way this plant looks. This next plant that I have on the same shelf is a strawberry begonia. This is a big boy. I really want to figure out if I can separate this plant out because I think the main mother plant is on its way out. These don't generally live to be very long, and this was about a 2-year-old plant whenever I inherited it from a woman here in town, and it had a ton more babies on it. I have chopped some off, and then a lot of them have been dying recently, and I don't know if it's because of the inconsistent watering that I give it, because I definitely don't give it as much care as I should, or the lack of lighting. This room doesn't get the best lighting currently, especially in this location, but either way, I am propping one of them and trying to root it, and then I definitely want to try to root a couple more of these babies and see if I can at least carry it through into another life for this plant before the whole thing just dies out. But I really like this plant. It's not actually a begonia, just the name of it is, or what people call it, is a strawberry begonia. It does have a different scientific name. But those are those 2 plants. And then moving on to my windowsill area. In this little tote, I have some Hoya seedlings that I recently got from a plant friend who I get most of my Hoyas from. And she teaches me a lot about them, which is a lot of fun for me. But I can't say the names of most of them, but they do have tags. Again, these are seedlings, so we don't know what the father is for these. But this is this one. Cannot say that if my life depended on it. It just looks like this. And then this is an Hoya obovata seedling. We have this one right here, which I also can't say the name of. They all kind of look similar right now since they're very immature. And then I have this quinquenervia seedling as well. I do have a big plant, a actual quinquenervia, and I also have a Hoya obovata, but these seedlings are a lot of fun. So I'm actually going to leave the lid off of these so they can get a little bit of air. They definitely need the circulation right now. But I'm just keeping them in this tote that I spritz with water every once in a while, just like to give a greenhouse effect so they can have the best conditions to hopefully grow and survive in. And then moving to the windowsill. All of these plants probably need water, by the way. I didn't want to do it until after I filmed this video. Yeah, this definitely needs some water. Look at how flimsy this is. This was a cutting that I got from my good friend. Started as like 2 or 3 leaves. It is a Philodendron lemon lime, I think, or a neon philodendron. Yeah, she definitely needs some water, but she's growing quite a bit. I've gotten a few leaves from just having her in my care since rooting her, so that's fun. This next plant I've had for almost a year now. It hasn't grown the best, but it's just a very traditional heartleaf philodendron. I got it as a 3-leaf cutting from the bank I used to work at. They had a plant and they let me take a cutting of it. And this was the first cutting I ever took to propagate. So I'm just happy it's still alive. It's come from 3 leaves to this, so I'll take it. This next plant is a Philodendron micans, which this is one of my favorite plants. Currently is unfurling that leaf, and there is one coming in here. but this started as just 2 leaves maybe 6 months ago. So definitely has come a long way, and I'm very pleased with it. I can't wait for it to get bigger so I can have it trailing somewhere. We're gonna figure out how to put this back on the windowsill. And then this is my String of Hearts Silver Glory. I'm worried I'm gonna kill this thing. I don't know why. It just seems like a lot more work than my regular String of Hearts, which is probably just because the other one is way more mature than this. But it's actually growing, so I need to just get over that fear. But hopefully this will, again, one day be a big, beautiful trailing pot of hearts. Moving up to the top windowsill here, I will pull them down. These are all Hoya, which is probably one of my favorite type of plants. This is my Hoya lacunosa. That's what it was sold to me as. It's currently putting out 9 leaves. There's 3 there, 2 there, this little pretty baby, and then there's a little, oh, there's actually 2 leaves there, so maybe 10 leaves it's putting out. And then these 2 down here. So I didn't think that this plant was gonna make it. Honestly, I had repotted it because it was shoved into this cup in moss and it wasn't doing anything. So I took it out, replanted it with some soil because I like soil best. These are all the roots that didn't make it into the soil. So some of the leaves started dying off and turning yellow, as you can see there. But then it just bounced back suddenly, and it has put out so much growth in the last 2 weeks. Since I've gotten it, it really only put out 2 leaves until now. So I'm very pleased with the way that this one is looking. Okay, and then this is my Hoya Crimson Princess. I got this one in a trade that I did. Actually, I was just going to give somebody a Monstera cutting so they could play around with it, and they returned the favor with this cutting. It has put out 3 leaves in my care. I don't think this one will ever do anything. It literally is just a leaf. This one I had to cut off one of the leaves, but I think it might grow a growth point soon. Those more pink tinted leaves are new leaves that are still growing. So I'm very pleased with how well this one is starting to do. I've had it in my care for a while, and it's finally just starting to grow. But it came from a really small cutting, and it had to acclimate a little bit. So I am happy. I think this summer is really going to take off. And then right next to that, I have my Hoya Crimson Queen, which is one of my favorite plants for sure. This was a rehab plant that I bought from somebody. It looked in terrible shape. On my way home, I had dropped it a few times, so it definitely has taken a beating in its earlier life, but it has really taken off in my care. You can see this is one of the original leaves that's all broken and beaten up. And then all of these newer leaves, which are the white ones here and the pink ones, and then all of these over here are brand new in my care. So I think they're looking fabulous. And again, I just love this. I think it's one of my favorite plants that I have in my collection. And if you guys are wondering, the Hoya are loving my windowsill. So I'm gonna keep them here as long as humanly possible. I know that I have a ton of plants and they're all babies and they're eventually gonna grow up and I'm gonna have to find a place for them. But that's some other time's problem. This next plant is a Hoya. It was sold to me as a Hoya Cantiana, but it could be something else for sure. Like a Sharpardi. I don't even know. I can't say half the names, like I said, but it's very similar to a lot of them. I won't know for sure until it blooms, which won't be for a long time because this is still a very tiny plant. I got it as a 2-leaf cutting, and it has grown all of these leaves since then, even this like weird one here. And this one is still hardening off. It's still a brand new leaf. And look how long it is. So I'm going to say that it's pretty happy right now. So put that one back. That's all my plants on the windowsill area. Then I have a couple plants over here. This is my Philodendron Brazil. It needs a little water. I can tell it's a little droopy. I am waiting for this guy to just trail down. I got this as a pretty bushy plant to begin with, and then my friend gave me a cutting of hers, and then I added it into this pot, and it has just become so bushy. It doesn't get a whole lot of light over here since I've gotten it. I haven't had it through the summer months yet, but I think it's really going to take off this summer, and I cannot wait. Right here, I have my Monstera Addisonii. This is a huge one, like one of the really thick-leaved ones. As you can see, this leaf is dying off because it has put out these 3 leaves from it. This was a plant that was gifted to me. as a bunch of long cuttings. So I chopped them all up and rooted them. I actually have some that haven't rooted yet that I'm gonna add into this when they do root. But I really wanted something big and bushy for this planter. And as you can see, it's putting out a leaf here and over here as well. So it's really adjusting well. I'm very excited about it. I am sad to lose some of the older, larger leaves, such as this one. This isn't the first one I've lost, but it has given me 3 beautiful leaves to replace it, and I'm sure many more to come. So I can't be that mad. And like I said, I have a couple more cuttings to add to this when they finally root. They're just taking a really long time. So those are those plants. Moving over here, this is my Monstera, one of my favorite plants. I've named him Monty. He's great. He has this cocoa core pole, which I never keep wet. It's really just for stability at this point. And he's not loving the winter months in my home, but he's not dead. So we'll take it. He also might need a repot. I repotted him when I first got him, which I got him almost a year ago as a rehab plant. It was on clearance for $8 at Home Depot, I believe. I had left it originally and then I just couldn't stop thinking about it, so I went back and got it, and he has really taken off since I've gotten him. I love him in this spot. I need to support him a little bit more so he'll grow more up so he doesn't go into the doorway and take up too much more room outwards, but I really want him to just do whatever he wants. He does really wonderful in this spot in the summer. It gets a lot more lighting. Mostly this time of year, this room just gets ambient light, which most of the plants seem to like, but this is my Monstera. Over here, I have, this was just sold to me as a Hoya. It didn't have a name upon my research. I think it might be a Variegated, but again, until it blooms, I won't really know for sure. It has given me 2 leaves since I gotten it, this one right here and this one right here, but it does have a growth point, which is exciting. This is one of my favorite plants as well. I just love looking at it, and I have no care in the world if it ever grows more than this. I think it's just perfect exactly how it is. And I apologize if you can hear my heat just kick on. I'm not going to turn it off because it's pretty cold and I want to be warm. So, and my plants like it. So, moving on to my Pothos here. This was actually 2 tiny pots of this Pothos that I got from Walmart for like $5 each. I potted them up together and now I have this big bushy plant. It has grown a ton for me. Like this whole vine is new. This whole vine is new. You can see there is still new growth in here. But this is a Pearls in Jade, I believe that's what it's called. You can tell because it's a lot freckler. It has a lot of freckles on it. I just could not resist. I love Pothos, you will see. I think Hoya, Philodendron, and Pothos are like my favorite plants. Over here, I have this cactus, which I've had since I've bought in my house. So it's been around for a while. I had a couple other ones that I killed because I like to take care of my plants a little too much. And cacti don't need a lot of care. Here I have a Hoya Chelsea. It has done nothing for me at all. I do think that this is a new growth point, but I'm not going to jinx it because again, every time this starts to grow, the growth points die off and a lot of these ends have shriveled up. But I actually just really like how weird this plant is and little, and I have no care in the world if it does anything more than this. I think it's perfect just the way it is. And then I have this Peperomia obtusifolia. This is another plant I've had basically since I've gotten my home, and it is big and bushy now. This girl has been taking off. It's really gonna need a new spot soon because it's starting to reach the TV level, but it's just so perfect here, and I don't know what I would replace this pot with to put here. So I could possibly chop her up a little bit and share her, but I'm gonna let her do her thing for a while. She's just really grown like crazy. And then over here, I have this big, beautiful snake plant, which I don't think has done anything for me in my care. It's one of my newest houseplants as well. I really wanted a snake plant for this area because I thought it would do okay in front of the furnace area with the draft. And again, I get a lot of ambient light, as you guys can tell, but I don't get a lot of direct light. So a snake plant is perfect for this situation. And the last plant that I have in this room is on my coffee table. This is my Photonia. I've had this plant for almost a year as well, and it is so big. She's so dramatic. She definitely needs a repot. The water is like not holding in her anymore, and then whenever I feel in, it's like hard because I think it's all roots, but she has grown so much. And she's in this cute little dino planter that I've had for like so many years. Those are all the plants in my living room. Moving right along to my bedroom, which has the least amount of plants into it. Sorry for the mess. I have Minkus, which is my oldest plant in my collection. I've had him for about 4 years now. He is a burgundy ficus. He hasn't done much for me recently except lose a ton of leaves because I repotted him, and the pot I got was much too large. I also sunburnt him this past summer, so a couple leaves aren't looking hot, but I have big plans to help him a little bit in the springtime. I'm going to do a little bit of cutting and see if I can get some more growth to come out, but I hope to have this plant for the rest of my life. It's definitely one that's been around and with me through some very hard times, and I don't know, yeah. So you can tell the times where I neglected him a lot just based on the leaf size, and then, you know, I started improving my mental health, and I think that's something so great about houseplants. They tell a story if you have them long enough. So that is my burgundy ficus. Over here, I have another Monstera Addisonii. Again, this is a little baby one. This is the same situation. It was just a bunch of cuttings that I rooted, and it's getting some other growth points coming in. I don't know if I'm going to keep this one forever. I don't really love it. It's not doing great in my care, but it is what it is. Here is my lemon lime maranta. This I got from a friend as a 3-leaf cutting. It was doing great through the end of summer, early fall. It bloomed, and then I lost most of the leaves. It did just put out this new leaf from a totally new growth point that wasn't there before, and I think it has one on the way. So we're hoping the best for it because I really love this plant, and I would love to have a big bushy one, but I don't want to buy one because this one was from a friend and it's so special. So hopefully it makes a comeback. Over here, I have this huge, this is a Philodendron bipinniforum. I believe that's how you say it. It's also known as the horsehead philodendron. I got this from a older lady. She was getting rid of it, and I could not resist. Look how beautiful this plant is. She did a wonderful job taking care of it. It's in a gorgeous, well-loved terracotta pot. I have added this cocoa core pole, which again, I do not keep moist because it's impossible. I did tie it on there for support, and just so hopefully the leaves will grow larger. It has put out this leaf in my care and this leaf in my care, and I do plan on chopping it and maybe putting those propagations back into the pot just so I can have a more bushy plant because I love the look of that. And then hiding back here, I just have a Sansevieria snake plant situation. I have no idea. It doesn't get a lot of light, but it's okay there, so I keep it there for now. And then over on the other side of my room, again, sorry about the mess, I have my ZZ plant. This is a plant that I got from a big box store. It was so root bound, I had to cut the pot off, and then I had to separate everything. There was like no soil in the pot left. It was so hard. I did separate a little bit of it out and shared it with a friend, and then this is what I was left with. I've had it for almost a year now as well, and people say these are slow growers, but it's giving me this new one, and then this one since I've gotten it, and then it has a one on the way here. It does get some ambient light over here, but my bedroom really doesn't get any direct sunlight. There is a house on this side, like just a few feet away, and then on the other side of the room I do get more light, but it's pretty far away from there. But for me, this grows quite well. I water it whenever I just have a little bit left in a water bottle. I just pour it into the plant, and that's all the water it ever gets, and it seems to be loving life right now. So I really like this plant, and I can't wait for it to get huge someday. I have no idea where I'm gonna put it though, let's be honest. And then right here I have a rescue Cebu Blue, Epipremnum Cebu Blue, whatever. That's a lot of bubas. And it came from somebody who lived in town, and then they were moving across the country, so they were getting rid of some of their plants. Oh look, a new leaf, that's exciting. But it was in terrible shape when I got it. It was absolutely terrible shape. And I have a big plan for this. I want to give it a moss pole eventually, or at least take some cuttings and put it on a moss pole and see if I can get it to fin straight, because I love when these leaves split. They're like this gorgeous blue-green color, and imagine them with finstrations. I think that's awesome. but it's doing so much better than whenever I got it, and I'm very happy with it. I think the problem that the previous owner had, I'm not trying to be rude or anything, but I got a couple of plants from her and they were all in really bad shape. And I just noticed that the soil that they're in is not great soil. I haven't changed it yet because I think I'm trying to figure out the best way to work with that soil, but honestly, it's like cardboard. But that's all the plants for my bedroom, and here is where a majority of my plants live. I am no longer going to be working from home, thank goodness. So I have moved all my work from home stuff and I can actually see my plants now. So I don't even know where to start. This is very overwhelming. Okay, so I had to get my ladder out so I could reach these top ones. Okay, so my window is very tall, so this can be difficult sometimes to get them all down. But this is my Hoya Chelsea. This was a gift from somebody when I first got into the plant community. She gave me this cutting and it has grown a lot in my care. I do plan on cutting it up a little this spring and spreading the love with it. Since it was a gift to me, I want to continue that on and gift it to somebody else as well. But it does have quite a bit of splashing, which is pretty cool. Yeah, not much to say about her. She's a great Hoya for a beginner, I think. I think I've heard that she can be slow growing, but in my care, she has grown a decent amount when she does grow, but right now she hasn't been putting anything out. She does have a couple, that growth point is growing a little bit more than it had been. And then there was another one over here, but that is my Hoya Chelsea. And here is the Quinquenervia Hoya that I said that I had a bigger plant of. This is pretty new to me, so it hasn't done anything in my care just yet, but it's not dead. So yeah, look at those huge leaves. Very cool. And it has this little baby leaf over here. I'm considering chopping this up a little bit, but with Hoya, what usually happens is they put out a long vine and then they start to fill in that vine with leaves later on. So I'm holding on that is going to happen here. I have seen it happen with a bunch of my Hoyas before, so I'm confident that it will give me more leaves. I'm just having a tough time figuring out what to do with this long vine. It's causing some issues. I might unclip it and just let it hang like the Australis that I am about to show you, which this is the Hoya Australis cutting. I don't even think it's rooted yet. I'm uncertain. The leaves on this one are a lot thinner, which I really appreciate. This is a lot more common of a Hoya, so you can definitely find this, but it has this long vine hanging down. I might just do that with my Quinquenervia, make it a little bit easier. So that is the top shelf. This next shelf here is all Hoyas again. This is definitely my Hoya area because I get the most sunlight here, and Hoya really likes sunlight. But this is my Hoya Paclia clauta. I believe that's how you say that. It is putting out 2 new leaves, as you can see here, which is very exciting. This is pretty new to my home as well. I've maybe just had it for a couple of months. So the fact that it's putting out leaves is exciting. I did not expect that at all so soon. There's a little baby one, and these leaves are really cool. They have a really nice soft texture to them, if that makes any sense to anyone, but I really like it. So that's that one. And then this is a Hoya carnosa, just a basic Hoya. It has put out a lot of leaves in my care. I got it as a cutting from somebody who I was giving away some of my plants for free, which is what I do often. I just put them on my porch, and she left me this as a thank you. So very cool. It's getting lots of splashiness in my care, but this was a cutting from her mom's carnosa that her mom had for a long time. So I think it's really cool that it's been around for a while, and I absolutely love this plant. It has 2 growth points that aren't currently doing anything, but I don't mind. I like waiting. I don't have any problem with that. Next plant here is a Hoya Macula phyla, something variegata. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about this one, to be honest with you. I do know that the name changed on it, I think, but I got it as a 1-leaf cutting with this vine, and then it has put out this leaf in my care, which was so pretty to watch because it was sun stressed and it was pink, which is awesome. And then here is this vine that I think we'll fill in later. But again, I just like plants, and I don't care how small they stay and for how long. As long as they don't die on me, I'm happy, to be honest. And over here, I just have a Hoya compacta. This is just the basic green one. Mine is splashy, which is exciting. I honestly think that splashiness in Hoyas just comes from how much light they get, but I know that that's a huge debate. I recently moved it to terracotta, so it's still adjusting to its new life in there, but it is putting out a new leaf. So that is the second shelf. And moving down to the first shelf here, I have this string of turtles, which is doing okay. It's not my favorite plant in the world. I really wanted it whenever I got it, but since then, I don't know if I am in love with it, but it's cool. It's grown a lot in my care now that I look at it. It was much smaller when I got it, but I wouldn't say it's in immaculate shape either, as you can see with this one here. This is definitely one of my favorite Hoya. This is my Hoya Sunrise. Look at that sun stressing. That's the best part. None of these newer leaves have sun stressed yet since the winter has come. But this has been an incredibly fast grower for me. It's still growing as we speak, but it has put out pretty much all the leaves that you see here. It only had 4 leaves when I got it, so it's done a lot for me. Next is my Hoya linearis, which again, I've been saying this about a lot of plants, one of my all-time favorite plants. I got this as a small cutting, and I have chopped it a couple times to make it more full, but it is still thriving. It hasn't really done much for me since I have dropped it a few times because this little pot is not heavy enough when the soil dries to keep it in place. It is now that I have these new shelves that doesn't move, but before I had the shelves, it would always fall off the windowsill, which was really frustrating. And next, I have my string of hearts here. This is just the normal string of hearts. I have had this for almost a year now, and this was a rehab plant. It was not in good shape when I got it, but as you can see now, it is growing like crazy. It did bloom for me this past summer, so that was exciting. It is really happy in my care, and I am happy about that. And then back here, and then I have this string of pearls right here, which actually was a small string that I found inside of my string of hearts when I was repotting it when I first got it. So I just decided to try to grow it, and it has gone crazy, as you can see. This is a tiny little terracotta pot, and it has put off so much growth in my care. I am very happy about it. I really want a variegated one, but I am very happy with this tiny little one as well. And then I have my variegated string of hearts here. I honestly wasn't sure if this plant was going to make it when I first got it. I was sold to me under the impression that the cuttings were rooted, and they were not rooted at all. But after losing some of the leaves and a scare, I have managed to keep it alive, and it's actually put out some new growth for me, and I cannot wait for the summer to see how this thing changes because I already know that this is going to be one of my favorite plants. My regular string of hearts is definitely on my top favorites list, so if this one gets big and beautiful like that, there's no words. I also have an air plant over here that's probably going to die soon, but it's fine. We don't need to talk about it. And I know how chaotic this video is becoming because this area it's beautiful, but it's hard to navigate around sometimes, especially when you're trying to film it. So where do we start now? Also, if anybody is wondering, I do keep my plants in the window during the winter, even on the windowsill, as you saw in the other room and as you'll see in this room as well. I have not had a single issue with it. My Hoya do not seem bothered, which is the main plant that I keep in the windowsill. Everything seems to be doing fine, even in this very old house with the drafts. Over here, I have my Ficus taniki. This is another rubber tree that I cannot wait for the summer for, so it can grow and become big and beautiful. Love this plant so much. Next, I have my Alocasia Black Velvet. This is a new leaf here. So exciting. I hope one of these other ones doesn't die off, but this actually had 3 or 4 leaves when I bought it. Then all of those leaves have since died off. They were like half the size of these leaves. These are huge. And so far I've managed to keep it alive and 3 leaves on it, which is very exciting for me because at one point it was down to 2 leaves and it was not looking good. But I have figured this plant out. I think it likes a lot of water. It is in terracotta, so I do water this like every other day, if I'm being honest with you. And it seems pretty happy with that. I did find some of the corms. I think there's one right here. It might be dead now, who knows? But if I plant that, it would be it could turn into another plant, which is really exciting. I just learned that. Over here is a snake plant that I got for my birthday from a friend. Here is the strawberry begonia that I am trying to root. I just have it in this baggie to keep the humidity in. Right here, I have this cutting of a Pothos Global Green. I believe that this is what this one is. It has given me this leaf in my care. This one was one of the ones that I got with the Cebu Blue. That was in terrible shape. This one was in awful shape. I actually lost half of the plant. It had died off. I just chopped it off. But it seems to be doing much better now. Really looks great compared to how it looked when I got it. And I do believe it is putting out a new leaf, but I'm not going to bother it too much. Over here is my Monstera Peru. It has put out this leaf in my care, but it hasn't done anything since. I heard that these are very slow growers, so I'm not really worried about it. Back here is one of my favorite Hoyas as well. This is my Hoya Mathilde, and it has really taken off. Sorry about the weird angle. I just don't want to move all of them. It has several growth points happening, and I hope that it'll bloom for me eventually, but I love it. This is my Hoya Compacta Variegata. So this one recently got moved from a plastic cup to terracotta, and it is looking good. Look at that pink. Ah, I can't wait to see how this one continues to grow since it's so compact compared to my other one. This is one of my newer Hoyas. This is a Hoya Nura, and it has not rooted yet. It might be starting to root, hopefully, but I hope it lives. I really love this plant. I did lose the part of the vine that had a couple more leaves coming in, but I'm totally fine with that as long as it doesn't die completely. Next, I have my Philodendron Florida Ghost. This one was a very, very baby. I think it might have been a seedling or something when I got it. It wasn't sold to me like that, but it was super tiny. As you can see, the leaves are still very baby. I love this plant. It doesn't get as much of my attention as it used to, but it's doing its thing, and I can't wait to see when the leaves start to mature a little bit more. Then I have my Philodendron Pink Princess, which I got as a one-leaf cutting, which was this one here. Actually, it had a couple more leaves on it, but they were basically dead leaves, so I chopped them off to give the plant more energy. I have knocked off one leaf in my care when my Hoya linearis, actually it was my Hoya Sunrise, fell on it, tore that leaf off, but fortunately it only tore the leaf off and it did not tear the petiole, so I quickly got this new beautiful leaf. Oh my god, I can't even. And currently she is very pregnant, so hopefully we will have another beautiful leaf to look at. I don't know, I love this plant. It doesn't get a lot of sunlight right now, so I'm not sure that I'll have much pink on it, but oh well, she's still beautiful. This is my Philodendron Squamiferum. This Scorniferium, whatever you want to say. I love this plant so much. It usually, when it's more mature, has very lobed leaves. This one actually might need some water, but I have gotten this new leaf very recently and this new leaf as well. My favorite part of this plant is definitely the petioles. Look how fuzzy they are. So cute. Definitely top 10 favorite plant in my collection. I do know that they are starting to sell these at big box stores as very mature plants. I did get this before the craze really started, before I really knew anything about it. So I am happy that it's becoming more accessible to people because look how gorgeous that is. Obsessed. Next, I have my Hoya obovata plant here. It is wild. I have it on this like metal that I bent into a trellis, but it's too weak to hold the Hoya. It's gotten so splashy in my care, and it's put out these two leaves. It's currently putting out a new leaf here on the vine. And then when I first got it, it put out these 3 leaves for me. And then look how long the vine is. It's insane. But these are the leaves that it came with, and they weren't very splashy. And now they are just through the roof splashy. I'm so happy with the way this plant is looking. I'm probably going to take it off this trellis and let it, you know, just hang, and I might put it up on one of the shelves to give me more room on the table. But then I have this jungle boogie cutting that I took because the mother plant, the leaves on it when I got it, I think it had some sort of bacterial disease or some way that the person was taking care of it. You will see I still have it. But these leaves, I was able to maintain keeping them nice, so I did decide to cut them off, try to root them up a little bit. They had tons of aerial roots, and then start a whole new plant. So it looked a little healthier and happier. Here are all my Monstera Addisonii cuttings that I was telling you about that I hope to add to the other pot in the living room. Then I have this cutting here that has some nice roots. This is a Dischidia ovata. These get beautiful sun stressing, so I can't wait to get it potted up and ready for summer. And then I have this Hoya ovata cutting that I was gifted recently, and it actually has a growth point. I'm probably going to gift that to a friend just because I already have my plant here. And then I also have the seedling as well, so I don't need all kinds of ovivatas, but who knows? I am plant obsessed, and I do like the ovivata, and this one's super splashy. So that's awesome. Here is the mother plant of the jungle boogie. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I'm holding on to it for the moment because I want to see if it'll start growing a new growth point. And if it does, I'm going to see if a friend wants it. I'm not going to sell it because look how poor shape this is in. I can't believe somebody sold this to me. Yeah, baffles my mind. Please don't sell things like this to people. This could be bacterial and could have infected my entire collection. And I had no idea about that at the time, but I guess that's my own fault as well. But hopefully it'll activate a new growth point, and then from there I can see if a friend wants it, because I think I did get whatever is happening to it under control, as you could see from the healthy plants that I grew. But then I have this Pothos, Emerald Pothos, I think that's what this one is. It's given me one leaf in my care, which is this one right here. The variegation on this one is very subtle. It's just green on green, but it's really nice. I like it. Here's where you're going to see my Pothos obsession. So I got this Mandula Pothos cutting from a friend. It was like 2 or 3 leaves. My friend and I are both really into plants, so we've known each other since high school, and we just recently hooked back up since we moved away, and we both moved back. And she has a plant obsession, so we often just trade plant cuttings. Like anytime one of us goes to the other person's house, we have a plant to give. It's just really fun. I really enjoy having that in my life. So that one, I feel very grateful that she was gifting to me. She also gifted me a cutting of her Snow Queen. Is that what these are called? Pothos? Oh my gosh, look how gorgeous. I haven't looked at this one for a while on its own, to be honest with you, and it is getting quite large. Again, it just came as a couple of leaves. She also gifted me, she's also the person that gifted me the lemon lime philodendron, and she is about to get her she's about to get some gifts back this summer when my plants mature a lot more, because I'm relatively new to plants, whereas she's been doing it for a lot longer. But she gifted me some of her neon pothos as well, which I am so excited for this one to get a little bit bigger so I can move it to the bedroom, because I really want it in my bedroom. Love it. And these are self-watering pots that I got off of a Facebook group. So basically this inner pot comes out and you just put water in the bottom, and they basically stay damp for a really long time, which I love these pots for that. Here I have, this is a Philodendron pandoriforum. I don't know. It's like the horsehead philodendron, but the leaf shape is different. It is giving me this new leaf. As you can see, this one's damaged because these have a hard time coming out when they are pregnant. Like they almost always get stuck. So I have to get them out. I do mist my plants, but it doesn't seem to matter for this plant. It has the hardest time putting out a new leaf without being stuck. But there are some definite lobes on that one. The original leaf that I got the cutting from, here is what it looks like there. So I don't know. Me and this plant, we're going round and round about if I like it or not. I think I might take a top cutting of it once this leaf is more mature and see what I want to do with it from there. Guys, I definitely think I could share it with somebody that might enjoy it a little bit more, but I don't know that I'm done with the adventure of this plant yet. I do want to see how it develops over time. I'm just having a tough time with how the leaves always get stuck and damaged. So I think that is all the plants on my table and my shelves over here. So moving on to the sink area. Up here, I have my golden pothos, which is gorgeous and it's loving this location. I have a baby plant from this at work, which is thriving as well. So I just hung it up here and it loves it. And then over here, let's adjust the light. I have this cutting of a Philodendron Grazile. I don't really know how you say it, but it has this gorgeous heart-shaped leaf. I am keeping it in water currently until I find a new growth point, which I don't know when that will be, if it will ever happen, but the plant is not dead yet, so that's a positive sign. This is one of my favorite plants in my collection as well. I wanted this one so bad, and then when I finally got it, I haven't stopped loving it since. This is a Peperomia Hope, and it is giving me a whole new growth point, a whole new vine, which is so exciting. I love this plant so much. If you can get your hands on one, I definitely recommend it because it's just so cute and gorgeous. Love it. And she loves this little spot on the windowsill. This window, it gets a lot of good ambient light. So any plants that need more medium to lower light, like they don't want direct sunlight, this is where they go. So this is a Hoya Memoria, which is pretty new in my collection, and it's putting out 2 new leaves. And I love the leaf color when they're babies. And a new growth point right there. So we're happy. And my last plant in my houseplant collection is my Hoya Retusa. This is a wild little guy. It did have a peduncle, but the peduncle fell off, unfortunately, so we're not getting a bloom anytime soon, but it has grown so much in my care. It's pretty much grown this whole plant in my care, and I'm very happy with it. And those were all my houseplants. I have no idea how many there are, but I'll probably put it in the title of this video to get attention, as one does. And sorry this was a little bit chaotic. Like I said, it's kind of hard to get to some of those plants up there and on the table. But eventually all of those are going to have a new home. They are just trying to mature in the best conditions that they can. And then whenever they're not babies anymore, I plan to move them throughout my home and fill it in a little bit better. If you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below about what your favorite houseplant is and what I might need to check out because I'm always interested. And feel free to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more random content from me. Thanks for watching. Bye!